Hey guys, thanks for stopping by. In this video, I want to show you my honest review, and I hope I will be able to highlight all the pros and cons of this product. So let's begin.
I stood there staring at my father on the floor, clutching the toilet. My superhero reduced to a pile of bones wrapped in paper-thin skin. I couldn't believe this was happening, I said to myself, as a feeling of helplessness washed over my body. I knew he was having stomach problems from the acid reflux, but when I showed up for Thanksgiving that year, I had no idea how bad it got, or how much weight he lost. Inside, I questioned what was really happening inside of his body. I get updates from Mom about Dad and how it was starting to slow him down, because he soon stopped exercising. Then he cut back on his food, and many times skipped breakfast and lunch altogether, until he was forced to eat from severe hunger, which led to more fiery reflux that would explode in his stomach and up his esophagus at night. Soon his sleep began to suffer, and the weight began falling off his body, bringing him to a dangerously low 125 pounds. And it's not like he didn't try to fix his situation. He gave up all the acidic foods he loved, like spaghetti sauce and meatballs, his coffee in the morning. He slept on pillows and pounded the antacids just for a hint of relief to feel normal again. But each day it was the same routine, and if he ate a little too much the night before, it would send him racing to the toilet. However, after seeing him like that, I knew something was wrong, and that's when I personally took him to the doctor so they could look down his throat and into his stomach. And that's when we received the most devastating news of our lives. The same diagnosis that took his father away, my grandfather, was now ready to explode like a ticking time bomb in his gut and take him away from us. But it was there in that moment, after they pulled the camera out of his throat and the doctor gave us this grim death sentence, that our lives changed forever. Because it sent me on a trek that would uncover the truth about chronic reflux that plagues 60 million Americans every day in this country and hundreds of millions more worldwide, sending me down a path to accidentally stumble upon a shockingly powerful 5-second morning habit from a small Singaporean town that's helped thousands of men and women with acid reflux, GERD, and stomach distress find permanent, safe relief. A simple morning habit so powerful that it extinguished my dad's reflux practically overnight, while gently healing the lining of his digestive system, including reversing the damage to his intestines, stomach, and esophagus. Soon, the life that was taken away from him began to burn bright once more. He started eating normally again, then eventually returned to the favorite foods he always enjoyed. But it was the simple pleasures like riding his bicycle after a nice cup of coffee in the morning or a bowl of ice cream at night that made him feel like he was back to his old self. Because not only did he return to eating his favorite foods and enjoying his favorite activities, he no longer had to sleep with his head propped up. He no longer had to pop antacids every day or keep taking the dangerous prescription medications his doctor prescribed that increased his risk of suffering a deadly heart attack, hip fracture, or pneumonia. No. All of that was now in the past, as his energy levels soared, his skin improved, his eyes cleared up, and he regained all his lost weight, which left his friends speechless, our family in shock, and his doctor dismayed. You see, despite what you might have read or heard, the root cause of chronic acid reflux, GERD, and all of its symptoms like poor digestion, a sour stomach, bloating, cramping, and more, has nothing to do with avoiding certain foods like the plague, and surprisingly, has nothing at all to do with your stomach or lowering this acid in your stomach. No, that's actually the worst thing you could do. Instead, it all comes down to this one thing. A deadly and very toxic unwelcome foreign invader that lives in your small intestines and disrupts your digestion by forcing any food you eat to be shot back into your stomach and up your esophagus like a fireball of white-hot lava. Researchers have found this deadly disruptive organism has spread like wildfire in those suffering from painful acid reflux. And according to some of the most prestigious universities like Yale, Harvard, and Cornell Medicine, is the true root cause of the problem and why 60 million Americans suffer every day. But don't worry, friend, because when you follow this simple 5-second morning habit before starting your day that was sent to me 10,373 miles away, you'll quickly silence this foreign invader and put out the heat in your stomach and chest like pouring 20 gallons of ice-cold water over a small backyard campfire, as the lining of your esophagus and gut begins to heal and cool down so you can eat normally again. But not only that, give you back the effortless digestion and energy you remember having in your teens and 20s. You see, although this powerful morning habit works, I believe it's never been studied by the modern medical establishment for one reason: big pharma. You see, because this habit is natural, there's no way for the pharmaceutical companies to make money off it. So instead, they push their proton pump inhibitors, which do nothing to combat the true cause of your problem, and just really cover up the symptoms like a Band-Aid, as this one foreign invader grows stronger every day inside you. In fact, over 43 studies have found these same acid reflux fighting drugs might help this toxic invader multiply like an out-of-control virus, thus making your problem worse over the long run. That's why with pure joy I could be here sharing this once-in-a-generational answer with you today, because this has nothing to do with popping another antacid, hopping on another prescription medication, getting surgery, avoiding more foods, or sleeping a certain way. You just follow this 5-second morning habit and get on with your day as you gradually notice your symptoms decline and your digestion is restored. It's that easy. You see, after this foolproof morning habit turned my dad's life around, I believed it would be a crime to keep this hidden. It's too important not to share with you here. That's why in the next 3 minutes, you'll see how everything you thought you knew about your condition was nothing but a big, fat, regurgitated lie that's been dished out by professionals who only treat the symptoms and never the problem. You'll be shook to your bones when you meet one former researcher who was blackballed for trying to blow the whistle on this truth as he exposes the 2 biggest lies about acid reflux that cripples millions of men and women each year like yourself. I'll also peel back the curtain and reveal the deadly foreign invader that set up shop in your body, the root cause of chronic reflux, its symptoms, and this simple habit that will bring peace back to your life, calmness to your digestion, while soothing your stomach, healing your esophagus, and blocking any acid that might cause you trouble. Plus, the mountains of research documents supporting that what I'm saying is the truth. Because you see, not many know about this simple yet natural morning method. So if you're ready to put out this fire in your gut with the force of a helicopter belly full of water right away, then please keep watching this video while it's still up. I'll be revealing some very sensitive information that will make those in certain positions upset. But I feel the risk is worth it, because after seeing what my dad went through and how he almost lost him, I can no longer stand by and let others suffer the same potential fate. You see, because of our family history, I also follow this 5-second morning habit that's also been enjoyed by over 32,329 individuals as well. So I know it can work and will work for you regardless of your age, weight, diet, or if you're on medication. Now, I understand what I'm saying might cause you to raise an eyebrow or two, and I don't blame you. However, this isn't some weird weight loss infomercial, a diet, a quick fix, or some detox. No, it's nothing like that. However, if you've been giving everything else a fighting chance and you're still suffering, and many times in silence, then right here is where you need to be. It's why it's so important for you to stick around and keep watching till the end. You see, the last thing the pharmaceutical industry wants is for you to hear this. Remember, they make billions of dollars off those suffering. Those like you, like my dad, and the thousands of others who've watched this and have been trapped by gut-piercing digestion issues and chronic reflux that could leave you curled up in agony. This is the last thing they want you to hear and see today. But it's the same information that saved my father's life and could save yours or someone you know as well. With pure love, I'm opening the door for you here to experience all of this as well, because I don't want what happened to him and us to happen to you and your loved ones. I want you to feel alive and free again without being bogged down by acid reflux, poor digestion, and GERD. To no longer have to worry about eating out or what foods to stay away from. To no longer feel sick to your stomach or wake up with a fireball of acid erupting in your throat, along with the pain in your chest or the draining depression that GERD and its symptoms could have on your life. The mundane diet, the lack of excitement. It can get so bad that even drinking water can give you the hiccups from hell. But don't worry, because all of that will be a distant memory for you quite soon. So if you're ready to find permanent relief 100% safely and naturally, then you'll want to put away all distractions and watch this video till the end. Because I wholeheartedly will tell you this. With this 5-second morning habit I discovered 10,373 miles away, you'll put out your chronic reflux and the lava-like heat in your chest, among your other symptoms, quickly and safely. It's that possible and that simple. Yet first, let me introduce myself. Hi again. I'm Jared from Golden After 50, where we pride ourselves on helping men and women alleviate many everyday health issues using natural methods proven by some of the most prestigious universities in the world. Now, I want you to know I'm not a doctor or a TV personality, but part of the in-field research team that goes out and discovers these amazingly powerful rituals designed to bulletproof your health from the inside out. You see, I was pushed into this field from a young age. I had a long family history of early death from such issues like stomach cancer, heart attacks, and strokes. So as a young child, I knew I wanted to do whatever I could to help others because I was reminded early on just how precious life was. And after watching my own father go through his own life and death ordeal with acid reflux and GERD, and the grim diagnosis given by his doctor, I felt compelled to do something because I knew he wasn't the only one. Despite all the medications, all this knowledge on the subject, 60 million suffer endlessly every day from chronic reflux. And that's why I want you to know everything you're trying to do, have done, that maybe hasn't permanently worked is not your fault. It's not your fault you're going through this and why it may have gotten worse over the years. I'm going to share all of this with you right now. Because you see, my dad grew up with two parents who had constant heartburn. I remember my grandfather always having antacids in his pocket and my grandmother always keeping them on her nightstand. So when I was a young kid, I just thought it was something all adults deal with. But when my dad started to suffer from heartburn in his early 40s, it was something he never thought to seek treatment for. For him, his heartburn was just a normal way of life and remained that way until one day my grandfather was rushed to the hospital for piercing chest pains. It got so bad they rushed him straight to the back. They thought he was having a heart attack, but it turned out to be severe acid reflux. It was so severe they looked down his throat then and there. And with more testing, discovered he had stomach cancer. Although rare, with only 17,000 cases reported each year, it's one of the deadliest kinds with an 88% kill rate. And unfortunately, 5 months later, he died from it. It was so far along that it just spread. Now obviously my dad didn't want to end up like his father, so he religiously popped antacids like clockwork, believing it would suppress his acid reflux so much so that cancer could never and would never rear its ugly head. He thought, well, if there's no acid to cause it, then I'll never get it. And this went on for years. And everything remained normal and he rarely had an episode, unless he ate a big meal before bed or when my mom would make his favorite, a big bowl of spaghetti and meatballs. But one day, after a night out with friends, he woke up choking and ran to the toilet. And this went on for a month straight until he finally went to the doctor, where he was prescribed the same treatment like most. Stay away from spicy acidic foods, elevate the head of your bed, avoid alcohol, and take a proton pump inhibitor once per day. But this medication came with a host of side effects. In fact, they all do, as you'll soon see. Deadly side effects nobody should mess with and are never talked about by doctors when they prescribe them to you. We'll get to that in just a second, because I'll admit, once he hopped on this medication and began changing his diet, he did notice some relief. However, it was short-lived until his symptoms came roaring back with a vengeance, and he began wasting away in front of our eyes. Besides not being able to eat his favorite foods, it started to affect his activity levels because exercise would cause the acid to bubble into his esophagus and make him feel like he was gagging on a ball of phlegm. Even drinking water would turn his sensitive stomach sour. Soon, he became more tired and more distant as his weight dropped down to a dangerously low level. So if you can relate to any of this at all, I understand what you're going through. Yet despite all of this, he pushed on hoping the advice from the doctor and the medication would eventually help. But every month that passed, his symptoms gradually became worse. When I would call, I could sense the depression and suffering in his voice. But being who he was, he would never admit to the pain he was in, which later we discovered was slowly killing him. All because of a foreign invader that we had no idea at the time was wreaking havoc on his entire digestive system and causing a firestorm of destruction inside his stomach and esophagus. Soon he fell into an endless cycle of sleepless nights from the pain in his chest and acid in his throat. Then followed the depression and the everyday sadness that he would never get better. So with Thanksgiving around the corner, I wanted to sit down with him and see how I could help and if there was anything at all I could do. But when I showed up that morning, I wasn't prepared for what I was about to see. When I walked in the house, Mom came running out saying Dad was on the bathroom floor, clutching the toilet for dear life and dry heaving uncontrollably. He was dry heaving so hard that he cracked a rib. I walked in and I couldn't believe what I saw. The GERD had taken a toll. But more than that, it had taken over. I couldn't believe how frail and skinny he was. The skin over his ribs looked like saran wrap, and there was no fat left on his body. Standing there, I felt helpless, and the only thing I could think of was to immediately take him to the hospital. No more of this, I said to myself. You're done being stubborn, I told him. I grabbed him, and we rushed to the ER. They brought him in the back and gave him fluids because he was so dehydrated. Then we waited to see the doctor. They admitted him, and a few hours later, looked down his esophagus and into his stomach. After they were finished, I went in the back to wait with him for the results. He was shivering from the lack of body fat on his frame, and I could tell he was nervous. He just kept looking down the whole time. And that's when the doctor walked in, sat down, and gave us the grave news. "Dennis," he said, "it looks like a bomb has gone off in your esophagus and stomach. It's full of lesions, it's blood red, constricted and withering away. There's been a tremendous amount of damage done. You need to stay away from acidic foods and anything that causes you discomfort. Here, I'm going to prescribe you a different type of proton pump inhibitor. You must take this and never skip. If you don't nip this in the butt, it could lead to stomach and/or esophageal cancer." And with that, he got up and left. Another medication and the same advice about food. I looked at my dad and he felt so defeated, so let down, so scared, and I cried. I tried to be tough and strong for him, but I couldn't hold it in anymore. It was like the writing was on the wall. Being there, seeing him in person, and then what the doctor said, it felt like we were both on the Titanic headed straight for that iceberg. So on the way back, I put on one of his favorite bands to cheer him modern medicine decides to never treat the root cause of. So I knew there had to be something out there that maybe could help, because giving him more medication that just blocks the production of stomach acid was not helping, which led me to question, if it wasn't an actual stomach problem, what was it? So I started from square one with a question: what triggers an episode of reflux? And the simple answer was food. You know, they say if you eat like garbage, you'll feel like garbage. But if that's the case, how come those with the healthiest diets still get acid reflux and develop GERD? How come young men and women who tend to eat more fattier, saltier junk foods rarely have an incidence of acid reflux or GERD? How come it's mostly seen beginning in your 30s and 40s, then gets worse as time goes on, despite hopping on medication and removing those trigger foods? If the medication is supposed to fix it, why does the problem still persist? That tells me the root cause has nothing to do with your stomach at all, or a lot of the time, the food you're eating. You see, my dad ate a well-balanced diet, and his only guilty treat was some ice cream at night or fresh-baked cookies with decaf tea before bed. He was slim, active, and a non-smoker. So what could it be if the root of the problem has nothing to do with your stomach? What's really behind the true cause of GERD, acid reflux, and poor digestion? I knew I was onto something, because all acid reflux and GERD seems to be a symptom of something more sinister lurking deep inside you. But what was it? I had no idea at the time. So I started consulting with experts. I wanted to get an inside-out understanding of the digestive system from your colon all the way up to your esophagus, how it chemically breaks down the food you eat, and what could cause this trigger effect that sends shockwaves of pain and discomfort through your gut and up your chest. But unfortunately, a lot of my research led to the same dead ends, and the only way to treat it was with a bland, boring diet and drugs that block the production of stomach acid. I wasn't getting the answer I wanted and was about to give up and rely on prayer instead, just hoping and wishing with every cell and fiber in my body that he'll just start to get better, that his body will wise up and heal itself. I've seen miracles happen before, but I felt like time was ticking, and whatever was happening inside was ready to explode at a moment's notice. But just when I lost all hope, someone came into my life like an angel sent down, who told me it was going to be all right in the weirdest and unlikeliest of places. It was Christmas a month later, and I was visiting my parents again for the holidays, and the whole family was down. Well, after we celebrated, I decided to get a drink at the restaurant on their property later that night. They live in a community with a pool, bar, lake, and plenty of activities. It's really beautiful. Anyways, I head to the bar and sit next to this unassuming man who was there by himself. And we get to talking, and it turns out this man, whom I'll call Chris, was adopted and grew up in Asia and lived in the beautiful country of Singapore. We hit it off, and we started swapping stories about what we do for a living, our favorite hobbies, our love for music and science. It turns out Chris was a biochemist, and a brilliant one at that. He graduated top of his class and got a full scholarship to the prestigious Cambridge University, where he worked on high-level research compounds that helped treat some of the rarest diseases known to man. The more we talked, the more I was taken back by his level of knowledge. And that's when I asked him about some of his favorite moments as a biochemist working on projects that he felt could really benefit mankind. He said, "Jared, I can't talk too much about my previous work. However, before I resigned from I was working on a new drug that the company believed could potentially cure a common and very chronic digestion issue that plagues millions of men and women." Now, I'm not sure what your beliefs are, whether you believe in a higher power, God, fate, or just plain dumb luck. But here I was at Christmas time visiting my parents and randomly sitting next to a brilliant man and complete stranger who might have actually had the answer I was searching for. So that's when I gushed about my father and what he was going through. I just kept talking and talking. I was so desperate and scared for him that tears began welling up in my eyes. Maybe it was the few beers I had, but he could sense my desperation. He put his hand on my shoulder and said, "Jared, the reason I resigned from my company was because of exactly what your father is going through and the endless cycle he's endured once being thrown into the medical system. And I just couldn't stand by and watch it happen anymore. You see, Jared, where I'm from, there's almost no incidence of acid reflux, GERD, or many digestion problems like your dad has. It's just not there in the population, young or old. But this company had me on a research project for a new drug that was much more powerful than any of those medications they placed your father on. And the more I dug into the chemical makeup for this potential drug, the more I realized the side effects were just too hazardous for a patient's health. I'm talking about heart attacks, strokes, cancer, and more. I brought up my concerns and they ignored me. Then I told them we should focus our attention on an alternate method and begin studying certain populations without these issues and look for a commonality that could help others like your father. And that's when they basically told me to do my work and shut up. Well, I couldn't just sit there and research something that would hurt people, especially when there was something else potentially out there and much safer that could do the same thing. So I put in my resignation letter and they let me go. He said, "Jared, the funny thing is, all of this information and research is there for the taking, but nobody knows to look." For example, he said, in the Western world, like here in the States, they say the major cause of acid reflux is from being overweight. However, if that's the case, how come sumo wrestlers who eat 7,000 calories per day and weigh in excess of 400 pounds have almost zero incidence of acid reflux or GERD? I was dumbfounded. I had no idea. He then said, besides that, did you know up to 96% of pregnant women here in the States report having acid reflux? While on the other side of the world in East Asia where I was raised, that number is only 23%, Jared. That's close to 4 times less. However, you're not going to believe this. So I just leaned in and continued to listen. He said, in general, about 60 million in this country report suffering from chronic acid reflux and GERD. That's about 44% of the adult population. That's a pretty big number, and enough people to fill 1,000 football stadiums. Now, do you want to know what the number is where I grew up? Here, I'll let you take a guess. I told him, I don't know, maybe 20, 30%. He just laughed, took a sip of his beer, and said 2%. Just 2% report having these issues over there. I couldn't believe it. I just leaned back and stared at the wall in front of me. That's 22 times less than here. To say I was shocked was an understatement, but 2% was so low that I knew I had stumbled upon something. So what were they doing over there that was so different over here, I asked him. And that's when he revealed to me the 2 biggest reflux revelations he discovered that his former company, including many others, were covering up. He said, "Jared, these companies make billions upon billions upon billions of dollars coming up with drugs that only treat this problem like a Band-Aid covering up a cut. Yet unlike a cut that heals underneath the Band-Aid, your father's acid reflux and GERD doesn't always heal when you take these drugs. In fact, these drugs can make the problem worse in the long run, all because of one single organism that anchors itself at the base of your small intestines. It's obvious and plain as day. These companies know about this foreign invader, yet ignore it because there's no money in cures and more money in treatments you'll need for the rest of your life." Which brings us to lie number 1, that proton pump inhibitors like Zantac, Nexium, and more will help clear up your acid reflux and GERD for good. He said all these drugs do is limit the production of stomach acid. That's it. Nothing more and nothing less. But here's a problem, he told me, and one you need to know. These drugs have more side effects than eating McDonald's or smoking cigarettes every day. First, he said, they block calcium absorption in your heart. Your heart needs calcium to beat, and without it, you can fall into cardiac arrest. It's why they can cause heart arrhythmias, heart disease, and early death. This research is there for all to see, but that's not all. Because they block calcium, those over the age of 50 will have a higher incidence of bone breaks and hip fractures. Not only that, they increase your risk of developing pneumonia, plus a deadly and contagious form of diarrhea known as C. diff, where you would need to be placed in isolation at the hospital. And here's another thing he said. In my research, I discovered these drugs actually contribute to one of the leading root causes of acid reflux and GERD, the same one your father might be suffering from. The executives know about this too, yet refuse to acknowledge it. And we'll get to more of that in just a second. Because I want to share the second biggest reflux lie you always hear. And that is you need to stay away from acidic foods, spicy foods, and more. You can't eat before bed, you can't eat a large dinner, you can't drink alcohol, and the list goes on. It turns out these foods don't cause acid reflux and GERD over the course of time. In fact, they have nothing to do with the root cause. They're just trigger foods because of their acidic content, which normally shouldn't be a problem. But to give them up is not going to heal your stomach or esophagus. Many times, it's not going to stop the burning, the gas, the indigestion, reflux, and more. It's not going to fix the root cause, and that's not going to stop your stomach from turning in knots. Just imagine all the people who follow these two recommendations, he said, the drugs and the food. Yet still, they deal with this problem every day. It's because they have nothing to do with the root cause and the truth. So I asked him, what's the truth then and the real root cause? He grabbed one of the bar napkins, borrowed a pen, and wrote down these four letters, S-I-B-O. SIBO, he said, which stands for small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. He said, Jared, this bacterial overgrowth is not supposed to be inside any of us, but it happens in tens of millions of Americans every year, and a big reason why so many have digestion issues, including acid reflux, GERD, and all the associated symptoms. What this bacteria loves to do, he said, is plant its flag right where your stomach and small intestines meet. We call this the gateway, and just like a dam holds back water, this bacterial overgrowth can block the absorption and emptying of food from your stomach into your small intestines. So when your food has nowhere to go, your stomach will continue pumping out stomach acid. And that right there is just one way you begin to experience the symptoms of acid reflux. Plus, he said, when you take these drugs that lower your stomach acid, you're already starting off with barely enough to break down any food you eat. So your food is just going to sit there longer and longer while making you feel more and more uncomfortable. Now, not only that, according to the World Journal of Gastroenterology, a shocking analysis of hundreds of studies just to back up what I'm saying is true, found these proton pump inhibitors will increase the actual growth of SIBO in patients who take these medications by disrupting the natural balance of your digestive system. Now, on top of that, all the antibiotics doctors prescribe over here was also shown to increase the rate of SIBO in those with acid reflux and GERD. And for the cherry on top, the stressful lifestyles the majority deal with here is like Miracle-Gro for this toxic invader, allowing it to flourish uncontrollably in your body. But it's not just one stressful episode we're talking about, but everyday stress like waking up on time, taking care of the kids, the spouse, your job, bills, the commute to and from work, deadlines, neighbors, the news, and the current environment. All of it is a stressor on your body, even if you don't realize it. You see, when your body is in a constant state of low-level stress, the hormones epinephrine and norepinephrine get released around the clock. And these hormones actually strengthen SIBO's attachment to the inside lining of your gut and stomach. Here's some graphs, Jared, he said. Take a look on my phone. Look at the rising levels of stress, the increased use of antibiotics, the growth of SIBO in patients over the years, along with the skyrocketing number of those diagnosed with acid reflux, GERD, and the medications prescribed. Everything is just going up. It's obvious conventional treatments don't work, and in fact, contribute to this problem even more. Because if they did, the amount of those diagnosed would just go down. It's a vicious cycle. I tried to present this to my colleagues and offer a different way out that could really help men and women like your father, but they told me to get out and never talk about it again. Because with tens of billions on the line, they didn't want some research scientists screwing things up for them. Sitting there and listening to all of this, it finally made sense. This out-of-control epidemic that plagues millions every day wasn't caused by staying away from certain foods, smoking, or being overweight. It was actually caused by the modern medical industry and the stressful ways of society. Things like antibiotics, the stress of keeping up with others, and the medication themselves to treat this problem was making it virtually impossible for those to find permanent relief as SIBO flourishes uncontrollably. Now, despite SIBO being a major root cause of acid reflux and an upset stomach, Chris said, I believe every single person has the ability to heal themselves. Your father's condition is not the end-all be-all. However, if he doesn't get it together, it could lead to cancer. Now, I never told Chris that part, but he was right. And that's when I asked him what we could do to get him back on track, get off the drugs, heal his stomach and throat, and return him back to us. My sister's wedding was coming up a few months later, and I knew if my dad was too sick to attend, it would devastate her and our family. He said, "Jared, I'm glad you asked, because this has now become my new life's work." After I resigned, I moved back to Singapore with my family where I grew up. I gathered a few partners, started a team, and got to work. You see, after working for Big Pharma, I saw what we were up against. Nothing but greed, lies, and deception, and I didn't want to lie to people just for the almighty dollar. I just wanted to help. So I set up a small research company looking into digestion issues, including acid reflux, GERD, and a chronic upset stomach. Then began analyzing, and I kid you not, the locals' stool samples. Yes, for a time, he said, I was playing with poop most of the day, but all for a good cause. Because you see, Jared, he told me, we found the populations over in Asia, specifically Singapore, where I'm from, and many of the small towns, had high levels of beneficial bacteria in their guts. You see, these good guys basically go to work stomping out the bad guys like SIBO inside your digestive system, then help return balance that allows you to effortlessly digest your food. And it's why we believe it's a big reason why only 2% of the population over there complains of acid reflux and GERD, compared to upwards of 44% here in the States. It's the one big commonality we found. Now, they also don't overprescribe antibiotics, and they have a much simpler way of life that's void of stress. It's really a very beautiful and relaxing place to live and raise a family. But more than that, another reason these men and women over there have such high levels is because of the foods they eat versus the foods you eat over here. Over there, he said, their foods are chock full of this good bacteria, while over here, the food system is virtually stripped of these vital nutrients and replaced with chemicals to increase taste and shelf life. So over time, with all of these factors, you're never replenishing your body's own natural house of good bacteria. They just die off, which opens another door for SIBO to walk in and cause issues like chronic reflux. So knowing what I knew from previous research, I asked Chris if my dad could just eat more fermented foods to help. Yes, he said. He said yes. Fermented foods are prevalent in diets over there where I was raised. They'll certainly help him. Here, he said, I have to go. I'm already late and I'm sure the wife is going to yell at me. But take my email and let me know how it all goes for you. So we exchanged information and both went on our way. I immediately went to the local grocery store the next day and picked up every type of fermented food that was available. Foods like pickled onions, miso, kimchi, tempeh, natto, and more. And when I finally checked out, I noticed a similarity. Most of the foods I grabbed were from Asian cuisine, which just filled me to the brim with more hope because what Chris had shared with me was true. I got home and told my dad everything. I explained in great detail about his acid reflux and how SIBO was a leading cause, these foods, and what we could do to get him back on track. He said he'll try it because what else did he have to lose? I left after Christmas so happy because I could see the light at the end of the tunnel for him. If we could erase this small bacterial overgrowth, get him off the drugs, then maybe we had a shot at beating this. But then, just a week later, I got this text from him. Jared, I'm sorry, but I can't eat these foods. They taste horrible. They taste like sour milk and vomit. I'm trying, but there's no way I can live off this stuff. I'm sorry, son. I was heartbroken, and my stomach dropped. I knew those foods didn't taste the best, but they were better than getting stomach cancer and possibly dying. So I immediately sent Chris an email asking if there was anything left we could do that would help, because he refused to eat these foods any longer. And this was his reply. Hey Jared, sorry to hear that about your dad, but I don't blame him. Those foods do taste awful for many who aren't used to them. Now don't lose hope. You see, he doesn't have to eat these foods to get the same effect anymore. We've identified a few healthy bacterial strains that do the same job, minus the foul taste. I could put you in contact with a company that grows these live cultures. They're pricey because of the purity of ingredients since they're used for research purposes. But don't worry because they're safe to take and won't cause them any harm. In fact, they'll probably work better than eating those foods because they're highly concentrated. Here's their number. Tell them I sent you. Just make sure your dad takes them in the morning with a full glass of water. All the best, Chris. So I called the number, placed an order, which is around $297 for just a 30-day supply, and anxiously waited for the call that his package arrived. And when it did, I explained to him that these were normally reserved for research students in a lab setting, but he only needed 2 capsules of this formula every morning with a full glass of water. I also made him promise me to not be stubborn and to give the next 30 days a full try. There was no sweat, no dieting, no exercise, and nothing hard or strenuous. And he promised me he would and would let me know how it went, although I could sense the lack of belief in his voice. However, that next morning, I got a text from him on his flip phone. No burning when I woke up. Weird. I said that was great. Just keep taking the formula. The next morning, I received another text. Slept great. No burning or chest pain. Feels good. I'm worried this won't last, but we'll see. However, by the 7th day, he sent me this. We were running around all day, so we had dinner late. Your mom made spaghetti meatballs and her famous sauce. I added just 2 spoonfuls to my bowl and had 1 meatball. You know they can be a little spicy. 1 hour later, and my stomach feels like it can take more. This is incredible, but I won't push it. Then that next week, I received a call from my mom. She said, Jared, I don't know what you gave your father, but he's starting to return back to his old self. His skin has color, he's gained 4 pounds back, he's eating more, and he's back to playing pickleball with his friends. He even had a beer last night. I don't remember the last time that happened without him being in pain or waking up in the middle of the night with his chest on fire. Can he get more of this formula? He has a follow-up appointment with the doctor soon, and he doesn't want to stop. Yes, I said, of course. So I ordered another 30-day supply for $297 and had it shipped to their house. A few weeks later during this follow-up, he told me the doctor was shocked at his appearance. He gained 15 pounds back, his skin was rosy red, his eyes were glowing, his energy was up, his sleep was perfect, and his stomach was pristine compared to before. After the procedure, the doctor said there was still some scarring, but that everything was headed in the right direction and to not stop taking the medication or staying away from trigger foods. But you see, here's a little secret he didn't tell his doctor. He stopped taking the proton pump inhibitors and slowly added back in those previous trigger foods, like his coffee in the morning, a drink or 2 at night with friends on the weekend, and my mom's spaghetti, meatballs, and sauce were all on the table again. I remember being at my sister's wedding those few months later and watching him have the time of his life. He was dancing and eating like there was no tomorrow. He had put on a solid 20 pounds from his lowest, and he was enjoying life again. It brought a tear to my eye, because just months earlier, we were scared we'd lose him. After the reception, I went up to him in private and said, "Glad to have you back, Dad." He just looked at me, gave me a hug, and said, "I love you." It was one of the best days of my life, and I felt so amazingly blessed to have stumbled upon this formula that gave him back to us, which lit a fire under me to share this research with those who needed it most, like yourself. So I asked Chris if the company who supplied this formula would be willing to help and get this out to the world for those desperate for a solution. He said, more than likely no. They focus on schools and research labs. But, he said, they're not the only ones with this formula. We've actually gone ahead and replicated the ingredients based on our own research, plus added in a few more special ingredients shown to help erase SIBO, calm acid reflux, and heal your digestive lining. We're in the process of testing this formula on others like your father. However, we need more participants. Have any in mind? I said yes. Great, he said. Anyone over the age of 35 is perfect, man or woman, overweight or slim, on medication or not, it doesn't matter. And the worse their case, the better. So after a few days, we enrolled 89 people, all suffering from varying levels of acid reflux, GERD, and its associated symptoms. We had people from every walk of life, but despite their location, their age, their diet, weight, genetics, and more, 97% noticed huge improvements over the course of 3 months using this improved formula. They all reported sleeping better, less indigestion, less acid burps, reflux, and painful cramps. For a lot of them, their diarrhea cleared up, the nausea went away, and they were able to eat their favorite foods again. While many commented, it felt like they had been given a new lease on life. In fact, those with the toughest cases seemed to have the most dramatic turnarounds. It's incredible, and that's why I had to share this story with you right here, because the wonderful beauty about this formula is it's 100% natural, 100% safe, and 100% works, which is scary for the pharmaceutical companies who stand to make billions this year by not treating the root cause. Yeah, they could go and replicate this formula, but that doesn't make sense for them because there's no money in real help. That's why after seeing my father's miraculous turnaround and meeting Chris, we decided to partner and pool our resources to truly help people suffering from chronic reflux. With that being said, we both would love to finally introduce you to Probio Lite. Probio Lite is a once-in-a-generational answer that goes to work stomping out acid reflux while healing your digestion and soothing your stomach, plus neutralizing this small intestinal bacterial overgrowth so you can enjoy permanent, long-lasting relief. You see, we saw the dire need to get this formula out to the masses as quickly as possible before those in power could catch on and copy or put this formula out to pasture. But now close to over 500,000 bottles have been sold in just the last few months alone. So we're confident this tidal wave of relief that tens of thousands of men and women like yourself have enjoyed can't be stopped. Plus, we've gone above and beyond the standard levels of purity and potency with Probio Lite. Everything is formulated not in a lab, but actually grown in rich, fertile soil like in the far reaches of Asia, to ensure what you're getting is the same bulletproof nutrition and vital nutrients those in Singapore enjoy that allows them to live an acid reflux-free life. It's why every day we receive emails from men and women all over the world raving about Probio Lite and how it's helped them get back to living again instead of being a slave to acid reflux. Women like Marsha Brennan, a sweet 67-year-old woman from Michigan who wrote, "I just can't believe how much this helped. I was skeptical at first, but after the first 2 weeks, I noticed my daily reflux began to clear up. Now 8 weeks later, and it's practically gone." Or Jonathan Vincho from New Jersey who says, "I was losing my mind with this problem. Whenever I ate something, most days it felt like I had to throw it up. It was horrible, and I was feeling weak. I couldn't even run around to chase my grandkids anymore. I didn't have the energy, and laying flat on the floor with them aggravated my stomach. 4 weeks with Probio Lite, and I'm back to enjoying my coffee in the morning along with some old favorites. I'm not 100% there yet, but I haven't noticed this type of relief with anything else. Thank you guys." Or Cindy Burns from New Mexico who wrote in to say, "I'm 71 and I've been dealing with GERD for as long as I can remember. I've been on every medication to try and help, but nothing has worked permanently. My husband loves when I make his favorite spicy foods he grew up on, and so do I, but I couldn't eat them for the longest time. Now, in just 3 weeks, I was able to have a small plate of his favorite, enchilada, chicken and rice with jalapenos, without the burning pain or chest discomfort at night laying in bed. I can literally feel the formula working, and with every passing day, my hope goes up as well. Thank you guys. I'll be ordering more soon from you." And now it's your turn to experience all of this plus more. You see, not only will Probio Lite take care of your acid reflux from the inside while restoring balanced digestion, you can experience so many other wonderful benefits on the outside, like healthier skin, more energy, stamina, better sleep, and even weight loss. You see, when your digestion is fixed and SIBO is kicked to the curb, finally, you'll be able to properly digest food and extract the vital nutrients that allow you to feel your best and look your best. I'm talking about a more glowing complexion, smoother looking skin, brighter eyes, enhanced focus, prolonged energy, plus a more lean and slim body. Just imagine how it's going to feel waking up every morning, no longer in pain, no longer worried about how acid reflux is going to direct your life that day, or no longer scared or nervous about eating certain foods, or too large of a meal, or that sip of coffee or alcohol, because all of that will be in the past for you now. You'll say goodbye to days feeling bloated, gassy, heavy, and hello to more carefree days skipping about like you're walking on clouds. Truly, for a second, close your eyes and imagine how it's going to feel once your reflux, GERD, and all of its symptoms will be gone from your life for good, and how amazingly happy you'll be. Because just how much would this happiness be worth to you? I'm sure this freedom from chronic reflux is worth thousands, maybe 5,000, 10,000, 100,000, who knows? But regardless, I'm sure we both can agree it's something you can't put a price on, because in the end, it's your life. And that's why we've never skimped on the quality of these ingredients. Way too many now depend on this formula to help them get through without stomach and digestion issues. It's also why our most successful customers purchase multiple bottles at once, so they never risk going a day without Probio Lite. You see, because the ingredients are so delicate and actually grown in rich soil, we're always in limited supply and usually run out of stock at least once per month. However, because you're here today, you're in luck. We still have some Probio Lite left for brand new customers, and you won't have to pay $297 like I did in the beginning. We've made great strides since to refine the process and pass on these cost savings to you. Because you see, we're not in this for the money. After watching my father dry heaving in that toilet and cracking his rib because acid reflux made him so fragile, having that image in my mind is why we never want finances to be an issue for anyone who needs and wants Probio Lite. That's why you won't have to pay $297 like I did in the beginning for him, or even half that. We agreed for new customers today, you can have a 30-day supply of Probio Lite for $49. That's over 80% off. We agreed price for you next week, or even the next few days. So the $49 is locked in for today and only today because the fluctuating costs of ingredients based on supply. But I can't guarantee the store's prices might go up or down week to week. The same can be said for Probio Lite. But we do everything we can to never pass on these costs to you. So for today, you can enjoy Probio Lite for less than the cost of a fancy bottle of water per day. And you can only get Probio Lite here on this page. It's not available in stores or Amazon. In fact, because of the rising popularity of Probio Lite, we've had plenty of imitation knockoffs show up online. So we urge you to stay away from these sites because it's not the same thing. Now, one bottle of Probio Lite will set you on the path to calm your stomach and ease your digestion. However, before you order, I need to be upfront with you. To see a lasting change and the maximum benefit, our most successful clients and customers take Probio Lite for at least 90 days in a row because more than likely, your digestive lining has been overrun by this foreign invader for years, maybe decades. So you need enough time for the formula to go to work and repopulate your gut while healing your stomach. So I would recommend you pick up at least 90 days of Probio Lite because I'd hate for you to leave, come back, and find we're out of stock. So when you order below, you can enjoy 3 bottles of Probio Lite for just $39 each today. So if you really want to maximize your results while saving even more money on top of everything else, you'll have the chance to pick up the 6-bottle bundle below for an even cheaper price. That's over $1,500 in savings over the course of 6 months with this special pricing. So to get started, just choose the 3 or 6 month package below, or whichever one works best for you. A new page will open with your choice using 256-bit encryption, which is like the Fort Knox of internet security. From there, fill in your information and click the buy button. The warehouse will receive your order and everything will be shipped promptly to your address. Also, I want you to know there will be no recurring charges. No, this is a one-time charge at the price below. So before supplies run out, choose your favorite package below and enjoy the same effortless digestion, foods, and freedom from chronic reflux that 32,329 other first-time customers have done. Now, I want you to know with your purchase today, you'll have 90 days to enjoy Probio Lite risk-free. You see, we want to give you this 90-day guarantee because we want you to feel safe and secure and confident in your order and the product. Give it an honest go, and we promise you'll be taken back by how simple it was the entire time to say goodbye to acid reflux, GERD, and all of its related symptoms. However, after the 90 days are up, if you're still not fully satisfied for whatever reason, please write in or call us. Tell us how it went and if you'd like a refund for your purchase. We'll be happy to grant you one, no questions asked, even if the bottles are open. Does that sound fair? We want this to be easy for you. However, you must act now to secure your supply of Probio Lite below with today's special pricing. It's why many choose the 3 or 6 bottle option. They love saving money while ensuring they never go a day without Probio Lite healing their digestion. And because we're in such a constant limited supply, we've begun talks to secure up to 200,000 acres of pristine land, all in an effort to guarantee the perfection our customers have come to expect in the formula for years to come. So as soon as you choose your favorite money-saving package below and place your order on the new page that will open, everything will be boxed up and shipped out immediately for you to get started right away. Just 2 capsules are all you need in the morning to ensure your stomach and gut receive the proper nourishment as you watch in amazement just how effortless your digestion becomes. Like it's not even happening in the first place. And it won't matter what type of food you eat, when you eat, how much or more. You'll have 3 months to let this powerful yet gentle formula go to work inside your body and neutralize this toxic overgrowth that's been causing you so much stomach distress and discomfort. It's time for you to grab this problem by the horns and take action below with Probio Lite because you deserve it. It'll be one of the best decisions you ever make. And I just hope you make the right one today if you haven't already, because with this ironclad money-back guarantee, you have 0 risk. However, if you're still on the fence and fail to take action today, I just hope your symptoms and health don't get worse, because it's what the modern medical industry wants. You see, I'm sure your doctor does want you to get relief, but the methods they use do nothing to fix the root cause of chronic reflux. They're nothing but a Band-Aid that can make your problem worse in the long run, like we've gone over. The medications they prescribe could increase your risk of heart attacks, stroke, pneumonia, hip fractures, chronic diarrhea, and an early death. And not only that, these same medications have been shown to strengthen the real root cause of acid reflux and GERD. So all you can expect is more pain and burning up and down your esophagus, along with the upset stomach, belly bloat, heaviness, possible gagging after meals, nausea, and more, let alone the chance of developing stomach or esophageal cancer. Deep down, I know you don't want this, and I don't want this for you either. And we're not even talking about the effect on those close to you, those who love you and want to see you thrive. I've seen entire relationships almost crumble from the effects of GERD and chronic reflux. Social lives dry up. Activities you both used to enjoy stop. I saw it in my father, and why I'm asking you to really take a second and go with the option you know is good for you. Option number 2. For just a one-time payment below that's backed by a 90-day ironclad guarantee, you finally have the chance to send acid reflux packing on a permanent vacation. Just imagine how you'll look and feel just a few weeks from now, to the foods you can eat and drink again. Just imagine how much happier and more free you'll feel, never having to worry about what to eat or when, no longer being in pain, having to sleep upright, or be woken in the middle of the night from the searing, burning fire in your chest and throat. To say goodbye to the nausea, the gagging, the vomiting sometimes, plus the medication that tear your body up inside while playing Russian roulette with your heart. You see, one of the biggest benefits we've found from customers when they start using Probio Lite is not only do they get to enjoy their food again, or that they're now symptom-free, it's the change in their bodies and improvement in their health. You see, when your body can finally digest food properly, you'll experience a surge in energy along with a metabolism that fires on all cylinders. Many experience a rapid drop in fat within the first 4 weeks when using Probio Lite, plus an uptick in energy and stamina that gets them through their day like they're walking on sunshine, and especially when they come off these dangerous drugs. You've come this far for a reason and watched all the way through because you want this, and you want to finally start feeling better, which you deserve. After watching the life slowly drain out of my father and how it affected my mom and our entire family, I can't imagine what you might be going through. But I do have some idea and what can happen when you say yes to Probio Lite below. I just don't want you to miss out on this opportunity. Remember, you have a full 90 days. It's why those who notice the best turnaround choose the 3 or 6 month bundled package below, so they never run out while feeling confident their symptoms will never return. So choose the 3 or 6 month package below, or whichever one is best for you, and lock in your success and these savings for good. I can't wait to hear about your success with Probio Lite. And if you need anything at all, we're just one email or call away. Okay, so make your choice below and a new page will open with your choice. Just fill out your details, click the buy button, and you'll be all set. Thank you for watching, and I can't wait to hear from you. Hey, are you still here? That means you probably have some questions, and we get a ton of them all the time. Let me just answer some of the more common ones for you right now. What if Probio Lite works way too fast for me? Well, if you notice a quick turnaround in your symptoms and ability to digest your favorite foods again effortlessly, feel free to use the formula every other day or back it down to just 1 capsule in the morning instead of 2. What is the charge I will see on my credit card? You will notice a charge on your statement from goldenafter50.com. This charge will only be for one time. There are no recurring or surprising fees. We hate those just as much as you do. Is Probio Lite vegan friendly? Formula is vegan friendly. However, the capsules are made out of bovine gelatin, which is standard practice. Is Probio Lite available in stores or on Amazon? Probio Lite is not available in any stores or on Amazon. We've cut out the middlemen to ensure you get the quality you deserve while also helping to keep costs down. You see, due to the rising popularity of Probio Lite, we've also had to deal with numerous imitation knockoffs being sold on those sites. It's not the same product. You can only get the real Probio Lite here. How big are the capsules and how often do I need to take Probio Lite? You only need 2 capsules once per day, preferably in the morning with a big glass of water. The capsules are small and easy to follow. We recommend you don't skip any days, especially in the first 30 days, to allow the full spectrum of these exotic ingredients to be absorbed by your digestive system to help calm your symptoms and heal you from the inside out. What if Probio Lite doesn't work for me even after the 90 days? Well, with billions of people on Earth, there will be some this formula doesn't work for. That's the case even with prescription medication. That's why your order of Probio Lite is backed by a 90-day money-back guarantee. So even if it's day 95 and you give us a call or email us, we'll be more than happy to grant you a refund. No questions and no hassles. Where is Probio Lite formulated? Probio Lite is made here in the USA. Nothing is shipped from overseas like other companies do. I know Probio Lite is backed by plenty of research, but how will I know if it will work for me or not? Probio Lite has been shown to work for those in their 30s and all the way up to their 80s, regardless if you're a man or woman, how long you've been dealing with the symptoms, the severity, and even if you're on medication. Everything is 100% safe and 100% natural, while being backed by research from some of the most prestigious universities in the world. It's why we're giving you 90 days to try Probio Lite risk-free, because we're confident this powerful yet gentle formula will work for you regardless of your situation. You have nothing to lose except painful chronic reflux, so now's the time. Just choose your favorite package below to get started with Probio Lite today.
Cool, right? Click the link in the description for my price discounted special.